monsters, rock monsters, Bigfoot, prehistoric beasts. They all have one thing in common. They're long-standing stories and discoveries that continue to captivate man's imagination. Where do these stories originate? Storytelling has always been a large part of Aboriginal culture. Their beliefs and their legends precede modern-day folklore and tales. These legends are often disputed between the believers and the non-believers. Whose story is right? Explore with us. Discover. Red Earth Uncovered.
The Michigan Dogman is described as a 7-foot-tall creature with the head and the hind legs of a dog and the torso of a man. It is said to have a fearsome, blood-curdling howl and can leap and run at unmatched distances and speeds. So are you ready for your next assignment?
Yes. Where would you like me to go this time?
Michigan. The west side of the Lower Peninsula, right about there.
And what's around Lake Michigan?
Dogman.
What's a dogman?
It's a werewolf type creature. You know, the lower torso of a man, the head and the legs of a canine.
The creature most people know as Dogman is an upright or bipedal canine animal, often described as looking like a wolf or a German shepherd with pointed ears, a long snout, looks almost all dog-like in its body, except it walks on its hind legs.
Do you have any leads?
Not this time. So you're gonna have to do your legwork. Go and see what you can flesh out.
I'm headed to see Chad Stemke. He knows the modern legend of Dogman. Thanks for meeting up with me today, Chad.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
I'm currently uncovering this mystery of Dogman. What is your relationship to this creature? How did you find out about Dogman?
My initial introduction to the Dogman was through a dream. And I had just moved up northern Michigan from Detroit and never heard of the Dogman. And I had this dream after probably a week moving into my new house, that I looked down towards my barn, which is about 100 yards away from my house, at nighttime, and I saw these glowing red eyes looking back at me. And all of a sudden, these glowing eyes came flying towards me, and I realized it was a wolf or dogman-like creature, and I woke up. And it was a realistic and rather scary dream, which I usually don't have, and I kind of put it aside. About a week later, my wife had just got a new waitressing job, and she came home and told me stories that she heard at work of these lumbermen who were afraid to go in the woods because of this dogman-like creature. And my wife actually took it as a joke that they may be joking and trying to give her a spook or so. About a week later, she overheard another group of gentlemen who were electric workers having the same conversation, so to speak, that they were debating on which one of them was going to go back in the woods to that location because they had seen this dogman-like creature. And they were serious. These are big, burly guys who are nervous to go back in the woods due to having a sighting of this creature. And at that point, I decided I should at least look this thing up online. And when I did, the first picture I came across was pretty much identical to the face I seen in my dream.
And what did the face look like?
It was a black, wolf-like or dogman-like creature with glowing red eyes.
So would you say it looks like a wolf or a dog? Like, is it a mixture of the two?
I would say almost a mixture. In Michigan, it took on the name the Dogman. In Wisconsin, I believe it's the same creature being seen. It's taken on the name of a werewolf. So I believe it's the same creature, just people applying a different title to it.
Do you think he's trying to protect something?
I personally do. A lot of the stories are focused around ancient burial grounds, and a lot of the legends are focused around a dogman or wolfman-like creature protecting these burial grounds. So there's definitely a correlation and correspondence between the ancient legends and the modern day sightings. The descriptions, many times it's a wolf-like or dog-like creature, but much more large. Many times they're saying 5 to 7 feet tall when it stands up on its hind legs.
If I heard it was just a legend. And I couldn't explain to you what the legend is. We tried to tell a story in our museum. And it wouldn't be a complete story without telling about the Indian population that was here when de Los Blodgett and when James Reed came here to, they were surveyors. They owned a surveying and lumber company. And so when they came here, the Potawatomi and the Chippewa Indians were already here. And the Chippewa Indians are the largest federally recognized tribe of Indians in Michigan. And the Potawatomi and the Chippewa lived harmoniously with each other against like the Iroquois and some of the other Indians that were already here.
There's a Chippewa legend from the middle of the state. It's called the Omer Plains Witchy Wolves. And for decades, people have been going down to, it's called the Rifle River, which intersects some native Indian burial grounds. And people report time and time again that they're being scared off by a part wolf, maybe dogman creature that literally terrifies them, and they never return to this area. The descriptions, many times it's a wolf-like or dog-like creature, but much more large. Many times they're saying 5 to 7 feet tall when it stands up on its hind legs. And it does stand up on its hind legs apparently and chases people in a bipedal fashion. That's one of the most unusual parts about this dogman creature.
So would you say that there's Native American legends and modern legends? And are there any similarities between the two?
It appears so. Many of the modern day sightings, they are focused around sacred landscapes, and many times burial grounds in particular. And then when we go back to the legends, we have legends of these dogmen or wolfmen-like creatures who protect the burial grounds, protect their landscapes of the deceased, and it seems to correlate, you know, very well.
So do you think that's why he's here, is to protect the burial grounds?
Well, that is one theory. Of course, there are other theories. Some feel this creature is purely physical, and that would be a whole nother story, which is a possibility, of course, when we're talking about this kind of creature. But the majority of sightings do come back to sacred landscapes. So in my eyes, I do feel that a lot of these sightings, it is a protector or guardian of sorts.
And are these Native American burial sites?
Yes, they are Native American burial sites.
So do you think that maybe it goes back to the time when they were first here, they had a relationship with Dogman, and he's protecting that still?
Very possible. Very possible that they did have a relationship at some point. When the trappers and the hunters were coming through Michigan, and the lumbermen in particular, many times they would literally obliterate the burial grounds. They would knock down the hills and plant trees. And it's a good possibility that these could have been the instances that they were seeing these dogman-like creatures as they were going through the state, literally destroying the sacred landscapes. So it makes a lot of sense why at that time there were so many sightings, if that was to be the case.
So do you have any advice for me if I were to go and try to find this thing?
My advice for you would be to have some belief, keep some skepticism, and just be out there with your eyes open. And I feel like he may be leaving little clues behind for people who are aware of him. Like, I've never seen the guy, but I had a dream about him, and here I am talking about him.
Well, thanks so much for meeting up with me. I definitely have a lot to take back and look into. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Chad has told me that the majority of Dogman sightings happen near bodies of water. I'm headed to the shores of Lake Michigan.
As far as the Dogman actually attacking or injuring people, that is the one thing that there are, as far as I know, there aren't any reports of actual injury or death. Many times the Dogman puts fear into people. And that makes you wonder if he is just a guardian of sorts, just doing enough to make sure the people don't disturb the ancestors. So many of the modern day sightings, they are not only happening around sacred landscapes, but a main area seems to be rivers and lakes. There's something to do with the combination of water with these sacred landscapes. And 9 times out of 10, one of those two spots, the sacred landscapes or burial mounds, or water, lakes and rivers, seems to be the places where these sightings are occurring.
Hey, Doc.
Hi, Sheila. Where are you right now?
I'm just at Lake Michigan, walking along the shoreline.
Okay, good. Because there's a woman not far from you that had an encounter with a Dogman.
Okay, what's her story?
Well, her name is Laura Love. She's a retired law enforcement officer, and she had a Dogman cross right in front of her on a highway.
Really?
Yeah, you have to go and see her.
Okay, send me the details and I'll definitely go check it out.
I'll do that. Talk to you soon.
Okay, talk to you soon, Doc.
And we were like, what did we just see?
So thank you, Laura, for meeting up with me today.
Oh, it's no problem. Thank you for asking.
I'm currently researching this creature called Dogman, and I understand that you've had your own sighting
Yes.
of the creature. Could you just tell me a little bit about what happened that night?
Well, I had broken my arm, and my best friend Callie would come up from Muskegon to Shelby, where I live, and so she came and picked me up on this day to go see a movie. And we had watched a movie, gone out for dinner, and she was bringing me back home. So it was about 11:30 at night, and we were coming up north US 31, and we were just talking, and we were coming up on an overpass. All of a sudden, from the left of the expressway, we saw a large animal come across, hit the back of the truck that was in front of us, where the truck actually kind of fishtailed, and just kept going and went down and into the brush on the right side of the road. It went right across in front of our headlights.
So as we saw it come across, you can see this clear height, long face, longer blackish brown hair. You could see the eyes for a second. It didn't really seem fazed by the fact that it just run into a truck that was going 60 miles an hour. After the truck driver was hit, he just kept driving.
And I said, Callie, did you just? And she says, yes, I did. I said, okay, I just was checking. And we rode home back to my house from that point, basically, I think, in silence, just stunned at what we had seen.
Laura asked me, did you see that? Yes. And that was it. We just kept going. But it was just such a quick event.
How tall would you say it was in comparison to
Well,
the truck?
it was one of those small trucks, like a little S10, and it had a topper on it. So I would say that it was over the head of it was over the topper, so it had been at least 7 feet tall.
At least 7 feet. Mm-hmm. And did you see any like facial features, or what color was it?
It was brownish black. It was definitely brown with, with some darker areas. I noticed that it had a long snout. It didn't have a flat face like a human or even like a normal dog. It had a very pronounced snout. The ears were on the top of its head, sticking straight up more than on the side of its head. But you could see that it had like canine teeth. The lights briefly hit the eyes, and the eyes were kind of golden.
Okay.
And
what was your immediate reaction? Like, were you afraid of this creature?
I wasn't afraid. I was shocked. I was. It's like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing?
So I understand that you were a former police officer.
I was in law enforcement for 21 years with the Oceana County Sheriff's Office, yes.
So how did you feel about coming forward with this story?
I didn't come forward with it right away. I wanted to weigh my options because it was my reputation on the line as an officer, and I wanted to make sure that it didn't harm me in any way. So once I had thought about it, I felt that if I came forward, that it may encourage other people that have had sightings that were afraid to come forward.
So do you feel like people who have seen something should come forward?
I think that people should come forward. I don't think that it's doing us any favors by keeping this quiet. If you have an experience, you need to come forward, find somebody that also had an experience, and you can, it will help you deal with your sighting.
So what did you uncover in Michigan?
Well, just like Sasquatch, there's no hard evidence of this creature existing.
No photo, no video footage.
No.
So just what people claim to have seen.
You got it.
What about this Laura Love? What did she say?
Well, what you said about Laura Love was true. The fact that Dogman crossed in front of the highway in front of her. What you didn't know, though, is that her girlfriend was in the car with her, and the Dogman stared right at them.
Well, that would have been quite scary, but the fact that her girlfriend saw exactly what she saw makes it quite believable.
Exactly. It's all in the file.
Dogman stories. They're not new to man. In Michigan, most encounters and sightings occur near lake shores. I heard an old Menominee legend about a transformer named Manabujo, which may help explain the phenomena. Manabujo was sent by the Creator to fulfill much work on Earth. After he completed the work, Manabujo went to a secluded place on the far side of a very large lake. The Creator did not want Manabujo to be alone, so he gave him a twin brother who was formed like a man, but could transform into the shape of a wolf, which he did when he went hunting. His name was Makwao, meaning wolf. Now Manabujo was well aware of the evil spirits that dwelled beneath them in the earth. He warned Wolf to never cross the lake when he was returning home. Instead, he told Wolf to walk around the lake on the shoreline. But one day, Wolf was extremely tired from hunting, and he found himself directly across from his home on the other side of the lake. Rather than walk around the lake, he decided that he would take a chance and cross the ice-covered lake. He was not even halfway across, and he fell through the ice and was taken by the evil spirits. Manabujo was devastated by his brother's death and mourned for several days, until one day the wolf's spirit appeared before him. Seeing this, Manabujo told the wolf spirit to follow the path of the setting sun, where the wolf spirit would become the chief of all the spirits in the afterlife. And this is where Manabujo would see him next. Some believe the wolf spirit still roams the lake shorelines to protect those from the evil spirits that lie beneath the waters. Thanks. So are you ready for your next assignment?
Where am I venturing to next?